The I Am Movement presents When Wisdom Speaks on Preparing Our Youth for Greatness, featuring Miss Jocelyn Lay, teacher with 7 years of experience, advocate, helping our young people find their voice, and visionary, creative force and founder of The Layway. Okay, Jocelyn, so my first question to you is, what is your new role at your current job as a team leader?
Okay, well, that is the new role.
Okay, that is the new role.
You told everybody. You don't need me.
Oh, well, let me rephrase the question. Flag on the flag. Let me rephrase the question. All right.
Okay. So my current role, I'm a teacher. I teach theater arts. And I'm also a team lead for the 7th grade.
So as a team leader, what do you have to do?
Okay, so my job entails me overseeing the responsibilities of the 7th grade teachers. Currently, there are 37 of them, roughly. And overseeing discipline, interventions, incentives for our 7th grade students.
Very good.
I play like a direct role under my assistant principal. So whatever she kind of needs, I'm like, hey, I got you.
You have a grip on what they need and what the disconnects may be that they have. So, in your own words, what is the greatest disconnect you've witnessed with our youth, emotionally, physically, and spiritually?
So as far as disconnect, I'd say that, I hate saying stuff like this, but social media plays a large role in the disconnect from our people, but it also is our children. So a lot of things they see on TV, on social media, creates this numbness where they don't feel a direct connection to the world or to their family or to their community. Because they are a little nonchalant about that kind of stuff because they're seeing so much on social media. So I'd say their greatest disconnect is from their real emotions. I'd say their disconnect is from their families and communities. And I think a lot of that stems from, of course, social media. It stems from parents not having those real conversations with them. And I think that's because parents are working and, they're busy and they have a lot to do trying to take care of their children. But those conversations are necessary, and I think a lot of times social media numbs our children to the facts of life and to those real emotions because everything is right at the tip of their fingers. So they're seeing all sorts of crazy, raw things that are happening in real life just sitting in their bedrooms when they could be reading a book or they could be, practicing math equations or something like that.
So that leads us into social constructs, right?
Sure.
How we have them now, what it used to be when we were younger growing up is completely different, right?
Yeah.
So how has social constructs of today impacted our youth on a developmental level, both psychologically and socially?
A lot of our children view the world from a very watered down perspective. They're not, I won't generalize, but a lot of our children are not in touch with the real world and really what happens in life. As far as their emotions, again, they're numb to a lot of things. When it comes to building relationships, they are missing those kind of key concepts because a lot of times on social media, you miss the steps in building relationships. You kind of just get straight to it and you become just friends instantly. Whereas in our school, especially in my classroom, we try to go through the steps of what building a relationship actually looks like.
Oh, what does that look like? Tell us the steps.
Okay, so they're not numbered per se, but they are just different layers. So conversation. Well, first of all, it's perspective. A lot of times when you see somebody, you immediately have this, they're this way, or they're like this kind of idea in your mind. And so the first thing is kind of just getting rid of that. So when you meet people, it's not having an opinion or just making those assumptions about who people are. It's kind of greeting people with a clear slate. So if we have to number, that's like number 1. Number 2 would be being open to conversation. Hello, my name is Jocelyn, and you are. I think in that second step is when we start to understand that we all have differences. And so embracing those differences, understanding those differences, and just kind of moving forward from there. And then I think step 3 would be, what are our similarities? Because this is where we want to build our relationship. What's similar about us? So we're both in 7th grade. Okay, cool. What do you like to do? Okay, I like to do the same thing. So it's kind of building off our strengths as opposed to building on our weaknesses or what we don't like. Because I think that's where those toxic kind of relationships come from. Mm-hmm. So I teach my students to build on the positive.
So you were just mentioning about strengths.
Sure.
What strengths have you witnessed in our youth, and how can they use that to their advantage?
So first of all, I am of the opinion that our babies are brilliant. Like, that is, when you walk into my classroom, hey, how you doing? High five, whatever, dab, whatever, hug, you're brilliant. Like, if you come into my classroom, you're brilliant, no matter who you are. If you step past the threshold, you're brilliant. So those are the strengths, the types of strengths that I like to build on. Okay, so collaboration. They love to work together. So in our district, we are focusing on these 4 C's. It's creativity, collaboration, critical thinking, and communication. My kids love to collaborate. And a lot of teachers think that it's because they're lazy and don't want to work independently. But the truth is, they find that they are successful and their achievement levels increase when they work together. And it's so true. It's so true that when you collaborate with people, when you work together, when you share ideas, greatness is expected to happen. It's allowed to happen.
That's very good. So next question. Before in the first questions we actually talked about preparation. This is our old idea is preparation, right?
Sure.
Preparation must first start at home. How important is that notion?
It is, I think, the peak of importance as it pertains to our children and their development. I don't think it's the only thing, but I know for a fact that if students are prepared at home, you're going to see major accomplishments and major achievement with them, because it is the very core of their being. If something is taught at home and it's on their moral compass to be a certain way, most likely they're not going to part from that. Mm-hmm. If parents prepare their students for success, if parents warn their children about events or things they don't want to get caught up in, I think that is like the heart of the matter. I think that's the beginning and the foundation of what greatness looks like in our children. I believe that in my building and in my classroom in particular, because that's the only way that I can kind of explain it to you. In my classroom, I serve a plethora of students who range from, my mother is there every single day. I see mom's face in my classroom. Mom emails me every day. Mom calls me every day. Got it. But then on the other side of the spectrum, there are students who don't know their mothers at all. I service students who don't know their fathers at all. And that can be a weighty situation for a child. So what I teach my children is how to make it through even though you have that loss or that lack. Because I know that the solution is in your moving forward, despite the fact that you have that lack or that loss. And so that's why I teach my children grit and grace, how to move forward, even knowing I have this area that I have a void in.
What hurdles have you had to overcome in the classroom in order to drive down what you're saying or get into, to bridge that, because we said it's a disconnect, right? Mm-hmm. So what have you done, those hurdles or whatever the case may be, to get over that and kind of connect the dots for our young people?
Many.
Many.
People make teaching look like it's an easy thing. My teachers, when I was in school, made it like teaching was like this easy breezy, you can do it kind of thing. No, it's not really that simple. Once you learn to love it and once you get into the swing of it, it will become easier. But teaching is learning every day.
Wow.
From a different perspective. One of the hurdles that I've had to overcome is understanding that I'm not a warden. My students don't need that hard disciplinarian, I don't have feelings kind of person. It's the opposite. I taught at a private school, a Christian school, for about 3 years, where I taught 3rd grade and I was the assistant in 1st grade. And the dynamics were much different than what I'm seeing here in the public school in Baltimore County, where I was told before I came there, oh, you have to be tough. You can't let those kids get over on you. You have to make sure that you have on your tough face and all this, dramatic extra stuff. I was even told that I wasn't going to be good as a 7th grade teacher. In fact, I should change my career. But that wasn't the case. So anyway, Fast forward, I started teaching 7th grade, and I walked into the classroom like, just to let y'all know, I'm Miss Lay. I don't take no junk. And they all looking at me like, okay, like, she okay? In that very moment, I understood, okay, Jocelyn, you can pipe down. They're not thugs and gangsters and all the stuff that the media portrays them to be. They're soft as cookies. They want love. They need love. They achieve by having love. And so in my classroom, it's a love fest. I take 30 seconds each class period, sometimes more than 30 seconds and sometimes more than once. But I'm just like, okay, I'm giving out free hugs. Who wants a hug? And you'd be surprised how my boys line up. They're lined up for hugs. So the girls, I kind of expect that sometimes, not to be stereotypical, but girls like, oh, we love, you know. So they will hug me too, but the boys with their hoods and they line up for these hugs every single day. So they're getting a hug when you enter my classroom, while you're in my classroom during instruction, and when you leave my classroom. It's necessary. So I think that hurdle for me was understanding that I don't have to be tough. I was raised by 2 boys. I don't have to be tough. I can be loving, but I can love sternly, if that makes sense.
That's good. What must our youth overcome in order to reach their fullest potential?
Themselves.
Very good.
Themselves. They have to overcome the idea, and they're young and they're still developing. But I tell my kids all the time, like, you're in your own way. You're the reason. I have my education. That's not something I say arrogantly. Like, I have mine and you have to get yours. That's not the view that I come from. But at the same time, I actually do. Your parents actually do. Your older siblings actually do. These grades are a reflection of you. If I don't know who you are, when I look at the data, I'm seeing you. So it's really up to you to get it together and to overcome and to achieve. You're it. You are it.
So that brings us to our roles. What is our role in preparing our youth to get to that place, for them to overcome themselves, for them to get to the next level, to prepare them? What is our role in preparing our youth for their futures as it relates to parents, family, and the community? What do we have to do to make sure they have what they need?
I want to start with saying that, like I mentioned, the whole love thing earlier. People think that that's just this soft kumbaya. Ooh. No, it's love. We have to love them enough to teach them. There's a saying that I read when I was much younger, before I even got into child development, that I'm here to love you, and love will teach you. And so from that is the root of all of my teaching. I don't care what the curriculum says. I teach from love. And so my role is to love you, number one. My second role is to teach you. My third role is to understand you. Who are you? I think the root of classroom management is understanding who your children are. If you don't know what your children's love languages are, if you don't know what their learning types are, you're going to fail immediately. There is no success in not knowing your children. A lot of people think that, okay, well, they did the work, I grade them, I go home, that's it. Teaching goes beyond the 4 walls of the classroom. Teaching is, you're now a model, you're now an example. Your life has got to show what you're saying to your students. And that's a whole nother topic that I can go into. But me, for example, I dress a certain way when I go to school. There are certain things that my children aren't privy to see because I'm servicing you. There's a certain way I need to look when I'm in front of you. I handle my other coworkers a certain way, because if we're talking about relationship building, my students are watching me. They have to see that I'm treating my neighbors literally and figuratively. I'm treating them with respect, with love, with kindness, and all those wonderful things we like to speak about and teach about. What else? My role is to make sure that they know that I have their back 100% no matter what. I'm an advocate for my students. So what that means is, when everybody else is against you, even yourself, I'll never give up on you. I'll never give up on you. And my door says that. I'll never give up on you. I asked the kid one time, because she told her case manager, Miss Lay doesn't give me smiles anymore. It broke my heart. Because I'm like, I don't know what was going on at that moment that I wasn't smiling at her, but I always want to give you smiles. I don't care what you're doing. I always want to give you smiles, right? And so I took her on the outside of my classroom to look at the door, and I'm like, what does that say? And she was like, I'll never give up on you. I'm like, read it again. I'll never give up on you. And I'm like, so how does that make you feel? She was like I belong here. And I'm like, that's it. You belong here. And not only do you belong here, you belong with me. You're mine.
That's so dope. So as parents, as the community, the answer is love.
The answer is love.
The answer is love.
Love them so much to teach them, to discipline them. You discipline in love. You don't discipline out of your embarrassment because the school called you. You don't discipline out of, you should know this because I taught you. No. You discipline out of love.
Very good. So that brings us to this. What is the layway? You kind of like touched on it a whole lot. But what is the layway, and how is that different from what we currently see or practices in school with teaching?
So the layway, my last name is Lay, obviously, and it's the way that I do things in my classroom. One time, I was having an evaluation, and my principal was in there evaluating me, and she's like, "What do you do in here? Why are they so responsive to you?" And I'm like, I really don't know. At the time, all I knew was what I'm doing, but I wasn't necessarily in tune with why I was doing. And so my practices became just out of my heart. That's just how I flow, out of my heart, right? And so she's like, "No, that's called the layway." And I'm like, I think I like it. The layway. And so the layway it's a building brand, it's a building name. It hasn't yet been solidified, but it has many different facets. One of the things that it covers is just teaching practices. The other thing that it covers is youth empowerment. And the third thing that it covers or that it will focus on is building or professionally developing new teachers. Yeah, and I think I want to go into some curriculum writing as well. So we'll see.
Very good. So if people wanted to get in contact with you from the layway,
sure,
where can they find you at?
My Instagram handle is @the_lay_way.
Very good. As we conclude, give our youth some words of wisdom and encouragement that will propel them to the next levels of their lives.
To all the young people in the world, whoever will see this, you are capable to do whatever, literally whatever you want to do. There is no ceiling, there is no floor that is more powerful than you. You have everything that it takes within you. I don't care who says the opposite or the contrary. You are more than enough, and nothing can stop you.
Absolutely amazing. A special thank you and a round of applause to Miss Jocelyn Lay for her wonderful words of wisdom. I mean, what is there not to say? Impactful, monumental words that are truly, truly life-changing, from building relationships to the 4 C's to giving us the answer that is love is what our young people need, and that they are not what we see on social media. They are not what the media portrays them to be, but they are so much more, and everything that they need is within them. I mean, thank you. Words cannot express the gratitude. Be sure to follow her on all her social media platforms and look forward to what's coming from the Layway. I know it's going to be absolutely amazing. The I Am Movement is on the move. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and on Facebook for the latest posts, videos, and updates. On Instagram @the_I_am_movement_SNW. On Facebook @the I Am Movement SNW. Be sure to follow, subscribe, like, and even hit the love button. Comment. Start the conversation.